I bought the most comfortable pair of shoes from every shoe brand. And in today's video, we're gonna find out which one is the best. No. So a few weeks ago when I started planning for this video, I had to face one of the hardest challenges right off the bat, and that was deciding what was the most comfortable pair from every brand. And as you can see, there's a lot of brands. I'm sure I missed some, but I bought as many as I possibly could, and I think we ended up with like around 30. I mean, we're talking every brand: Nike, Adidas, Skechers, Brooks, Saucony, Unitus, Columbia, Salomon, Reebok, Zellerfeld, On, Hoka. I mean, there's so many brands here, I can't even name them all. So figuring out the most comfortable pair of shoes for each one of these around 30 brands was gonna take me a minute. The most important thing to do though is define what comfort is, because that's the way that we're ranking all of these shoes. In this video, I'm going with probably the most traditional sense of comfort. I'm talking about the softest underfoot cushion, the most comfortable and well-padded upper, the most breathable pair of shoes, and also a pair of shoes that you put on and immediately go, that one's a little bit harder to quantify, but the other ones, yeah, I'm going for the softest shoe. A lot of these brands I've worn before. In fact, a lot of these sneakers I've owned pairs of before, so I know for some brands what that shoe should be, but for other brands like Columbia, I had no idea. So rather than going online and buying every pair of shoes from each one of these brands, because you can't actually buy a lot of these brands in store, some of them are online only, at least in the United States, I decided to message the brands and just straight up ask them what the most comfortable pair of shoes they made was. Now, this was actually a pretty time-intensive process, and there was no guarantee that these brands would message me back. All right, so I've been sending out messages to brands for probably about 45 minutes to an hour at this point. I'm finally starting to get some responses. So it seems like a lot of the responses that I'm getting, not everyone's responded, but it seems like a lot of the responses that I'm getting are things like, this is a bit subjective when asking what the most comfortable shoe is. We have many options that are comfortable and walkable. I need more information as to the type of item that you're seeking before we answer that question. Another brand said, hey Seth, this is blank from blank. Good question, but a loaded one. Comfort can be pretty subjective. We can always send you some options for the 2025 range and see what's most comfortable to you. Shout out to them for the offer. I actually did already buy a pair because they sent me that message a little while ago. Some brands straight up said, hey, if you're looking for like cushiony comfort, this is what you go with. I even said to some brands, hey, I'm looking for like cloud-like pillowy comfort. So, you know, they gave me those options, which I appreciated. And some brands just didn't respond. So I'm gonna go ahead and buy as many sneakers as I can. I've already bought a good amount of them, and probably throughout the week buy more as I get more responses in or as I remember brands that I forgot to message. So that being said, see you guys in probably a couple weeks. And then I waited for as many responses as I could get in the next couple days, and I went and bought the pairs of shoes that they recommended based on me saying I'm looking for the most comfortable pair, and by comfort I mean underfoot softness. But of course, not every brand responded. Shout out to you if you were a brand that responded. I really appreciate it. It was very helpful. So for the other brands, I had to do a lot of research, and that was brands like Adidas and Nike and even New Balance. Some of the biggest brands, you'd think that their customer service would hit you back, but they didn't. Shout out to Mizuno and Columbia and some of the brands that hit me back almost instantly. That was awesome, and it was incredibly helpful. So after a few hours of research and buying all of the most max cushion sneakers from each brand, I bought them. And for the next couple weeks, I waited, and they slowly started to arrive until they were all almost finally here. So the time is finally here. We have almost all the sneakers that I bought. One pair I'm still waiting for. It got delayed in shipping. It's not the brand's fault. Something happened in USPS, and it's been traveling through the network for the last week. So there's one pair that hopefully I get it before my editor finishes editing this video, because then I can kind of sneak it in. But hey, that being said, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 pairs of sneakers, 27 pairs that I've purchased. One or two of which I did get sent a while back, but rather than rebuying them, I'm like, I actually haven't worn this pair yet, so I will put this pair in the video because it'll work for this video. So we've got 27 different brands here, a lot of really cool stuff, some of which might not be traditionally considered comfortable. Other pairs might be considered some of the softest pairs ever to be worn on foot. So I'm very excited to check these pairs out, and I figured the best way to do this fairly was to go through each one of these alphabetically. So what I'm gonna do is open up each pair, try it on, see how it fits, see how it feels, and then give it a tier list ranking, and we'll find out what the top most comfortable pair is at the end of the video. So realistically, it's like the king of the hill. This should be the most comfortable sneaker ever, but who knows? Maybe I missed some pairs, I don't know. So without further ado, let's dive into it. And the first pair that we're gonna open is actually from a brand that didn't start with the letter A. You'd think that A would be the first brand. No, the first pair is actually from a brand called 741. I figured numbers is before letters usually. So we're starting with the 741 Performance Rover, or the 741 Rover. This pair is actually a pair from Jaylen Brown's own brand. He started this brand a couple years ago and it finally started to release pairs of sneakers, and let's check it out. And as a Sixers fan, there is some underlying bias there because we are talking about the Celtics Finals MVP, Jaylen Brown. A lot of respect for Jaylen Brown. Love the guy. Wish he was on the Sixers. It is what it is. So, box, 741 on the top. We got a size 9, which is my size. Let's pop the top and see what we've got. Ooh, look at these. Well, the paper kind of covered them up. Woo! Look at these. These are different. Oh my goodness. So the 741 Rovers are really cool because they are completely different from really anything else that we've seen before. It's incredibly difficult for someone to start their own sneaker brand because sneaker tooling is incredibly expensive, and unless you're someone like Jaylen Brown who has tons and tons of money, it's not something that's usually attainable. That being said, even with tons and tons of money, it's not easy. And I've got to say, aesthetically, this shoe is cool. I really like the way this shoe looks. So basically it's a basketball sneaker. It's called the Performance Rover. It features, I believe what they call hypergravity EVA, if I remember correctly. Let me check on their website. Hypergravity supercritical EVA, which feels pretty soft in the hand. You've got this sort of knit, I guess, overlay or shroud, and then it looks like a standard looking shoe underneath. But the biggest detail here that I think is gonna be interesting to everyone are these little like iridescent pods that I don't think they do anything for the actual comfort of the shoe, but hey, they look cool. So with that being said, let me throw these on feet, see how they feel. Oh, and in case you were wondering, I'll make sure to put the price of every shoe on screen. Shout out to Editor Tim for doing that. This pair is $200, which is putting it in the higher end. All right, in terms of softness, I would give them, you know, pretty decent rating. They're not like incredibly soft, but I feel like for basketball, it's probably a good thing. You do get some cushion, and standing in them, they feel fine. They're a little tight, but performance basketball sneakers tend to be tight. The upper, really well padded. I think overall, realistically, I'll give them a C. And the reason I'm giving them a C is because they're comfortable for basketball shoes, but I know some of the shoes on this list, and I know how comfortable they are. I just don't think these stack up to the level of some of the other shoes on the list. That being said, I don't think it's bad at all. I think this is a pretty comfortable pair of shoes. Next up, as you could probably expect, we've got a pair of Adidas because AD is in front of some other brands that we'll talk about in a minute. This is a pair of Adidas sneakers, which I still think is the most comfortable pair of Adidas sneakers that are out there right now, although it does seem like Adidas is phasing this pair out. So this pair may not be available by the time you're watching this video, but at the time that I'm filming this video, you can grab pairs of these for like 59 bucks on Adidas's website, even though it's currently retailing for, in some of the newer colorways, 140 bucks. So with that being said, let's pop the top and check it out. This is the Adidas Aruku, a pair which I believe released for the first time last year and now already seems to be wildly on sale. I actually bought this pair on a resale site for like 50 bucks max, and now it's on sale on Adidas's website, so it's even cheaper. This pair is kind of wild. So this pair obviously looks like it's a Japanese streetwear inspired shoe, or at least that's what Adidas claims, and it features this swirl foam midsole, which is super, super thick. Now swirl foam is, I think, a newer foam from Adidas. I hadn't heard about it until this shoe actually came out, and it's crazy soft underfoot. Now the problem with the Adidas Aruku is that it looks kind of wild with this thick midsole that's just like flat across the side, but also it does this. Not something ideally that you want your shoes to do. It's not a bad thing. I think every shoe should do this a little bit, have a little bit of a rocker shape, but to rock this much after hitting them once. So that and just the insane stack height are, I think, some of the reasons why the shoe is not as popular as it could be. With that being said, let's try this pair on. I haven't had this pair in a long time. This is a brand new pair that I bought. The pair that I had last year came in this exact same colorway. The reason I got this colorway is because it was cheaper. There's like a silver and black one, which is going for full retail, and I was like, listen, if I can get it for 50 bucks, I'm gonna get it for 50 bucks. So let's try this pair on really quick. Honestly, I like the design of this shoe too. I think it's a really nice looking pair of shoes. I wish the midsole wasn't as weird, but the upper, it's clean. I actually really like the red and black and white upper. I think that's also clean. Laces are a little long, but that's a side thing. All right, so on foot, I mean, I forgot how soft it is. It's very, very soft. The problem really is that rocker shape. That rocker shape is odd. Oh man, it's tough because it is really soft underfoot. The upper is really nice. The last pair I had, I walked around Disney for like 3 days and it was nice. The rocker shape actually kind of helped. Now, weirdly enough, you really feel the cushion in the middle of the shoe because that's where most of it is. And it does kind of feel like you're standing on top of some sort of like small mound. So I don't love that. And because of that, I can't give this like a B or an A, like I think it would deserve if it was a little bit more normal of a shape. So gotta give this shoe a C. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a C. That's tough because I do think it's very, very soft. It's just a weird shape. Next up is the recently released Air Jordan 40. Now, I did separate Jordan brand from Nike just because they are technically separate brands. Also, I know that Jordan brand is a brand that begins with a J, but the shoes are Air Jordans. So I'm gonna unbox these with the other A shoes because that's generally what I think of them as. The Air Jordan 40 just recently released and it sold out completely. So I actually had to buy it on a resale site. And I like the way it looks a lot. What's cool about this shoe is that it's sort of a reimagining or kind of a new take on leather performance basketball sneakers. The last couple years, honestly couple decades of Air Jordan performance basketball sneakers have been filled with engineered mesh, have been filled with shapes that were fine, but nothing you could really wear casually. And the Air Jordan 40 genuinely kind of seems like a casual shoe dream. Now, I don't ball that much, and when I do ball, I don't ball that hard. Although I did just go to a Puma event with Chris Brickley and Knicks backup point guard Tyler Kolek, and I did play basketball, and I wasn't the worst one on the floor. So the Air Jordan 40 is not only a reimagining of what leather and sort of more classic materials can be like on a modern basketball sneaker, but it also features some of the softest performance basketball tech out there, and I think this is going to be significantly softer than the 741s that we checked out a second ago. So apparently the Jordan 40's cushioning setup is full-length Zoom Strobel, and then underneath that you've got full-length Zoom X. So this should be, honestly, an incredibly soft and springy shoe. So I'm really, really excited to check this sneaker out, see how it feels on foot, see how bouncy it is. I don't expect the upper to be very breathable because there's not really any ventilation on the upper, although it is a low top. And low tops tend to be a bit cooler just because there's more of your foot showing. So let me throw these guys on feet really quick. Obviously, I'm expecting them to be kind of tight, so I'm loosening up the laces a little bit because basketball sneakers tend to be pretty tight. Now, when it comes to price, this shoe did come in at $205, which is not cheap, but it is the latest Jordan brand sneaker. Crazily enough though, while Jordan brand sneakers were for a long time like the main performance basketball sneakers that you would grab, you know, aside from like Kobe's and LeBron's and things like that, people have started to lean more towards the cheaper options, like the Ja 3s, or maybe the Anthony Edwards 1s, possibly the 2s when they come out. So 205 is a lot for a pair of on-court performance shoes. This is a size 9, which is my size. Ooh, they are tight. I guess I didn't loosen up the laces enough. Softness-wise, not bad. Here, let me try them on a harder surface. Gotta be honest with you, I'm a little disappointed. I thought it'd be softer than that. Maybe they break in. That's probably what it is. They probably break in. Let me see if I can see the full-length Air Zoom meter under there. What's this insole look like? Fake insole, oh my gosh. And it's glued down, can't pull it out. Okay, it's fine. I guess it is softer than the 741, although it doesn't feel that, I mean, the arch support's nice. There is some nice arch support there. And the padding around the ankle is really nice. I guess I'll give it a B. I have a sneaking suspicion that that shoe will loosen up over time and feel really good on foot over time, but I don't know for sure because I only tried it on once. But B, I think is fair. After that, we've got actually one of the cheapest shoes on the entire list, the Anta PG7. I'm not sure why it's called the PG7, but it is called the PG7. It is a running shoe, and it's $89.99. Crazy. Their max cushion running shoe is $89. That's wild when compared to some of the other shoes that we'll talk about on this list. Without further ado, here we go. Style-wise, kind of basic. At least this colorway. Maybe there's better colorways. This was the best one that I could find, at least that was in stock. I will say that now that I'm seeing like the midsole paint in person, that iridescent vibe is kind of cool. But it's not like a beautiful shoe. It's just kind of simple. Just kind of simple and basic. Feeling the foam in my hands. It's not bad. It's nothing special though. But for $89, you can't really complain, right? Like 89 bucks is really, really great for a pair of shoes that should be good for running. So let me try these guys on really quick. Shout out to Anta, by the way. Anta is a low-key, really good sneaker brand. They do a lot of cool stuff. They work with Klay Thompson. Obviously, they're a Chinese brand. And they drop some really cool stuff. I wanted to get some Li-Ning sneakers, but I could not get any in time because they don't actually sell them really anywhere in the United States other than resale sites. And I wanted this video to be pairs of sneakers that are somewhat attainable, that you can actually go out and grab right now, like the current most comfortable shoe from each one of these brands. And if you can't buy Li-Ning in the United States, then, you know, kind of hard to recommend that. But here we go. Ooh, very soft. Oh my, hold on. Very well cushioned, but also very springy. It's a really interesting feeling. Now, it doesn't feel as like soft or even as mushy as some of the other shoes that I've tried out before, but it does feel good. And for $89, it is punching above its weight. I gotta give this shoe, honestly, this one might have to change rating depending on how it feels against some of the other shoes. Wow, it does feel good. Oh my gosh. The upper feels good too. Ooh, this is tough. I'm gonna give this shoe an A. Honestly, I'm gonna give this shoe an A. I think it's actually amazing. First impressions are really, really good. Now, to be fair, if we try a bunch of other shoes and they're significantly better than this, I'll bump it down to a B, but I don't think it's going below a B. I think an A is a very, very reasonable score for this pair of shoes. That is really impressive. For $89, that's like full retail too. That's not even like a sale price. Yo, blown away by the Anta PG7s. Sticking with the A's, we've got the Asics Gel Nimbus 27. This shoe released, I think earlier this year, so it's relatively new. It is the newest max cushion running sneaker from Asics. Not a bad looking shoe. This colorway is a little boring, I'm not gonna lie, but when I bought this shoe, there wasn't a lot of good colorways. I bought this shoe a couple months ago. I wore it once for a video. I don't remember how it feels on foot, I'll be real with you. Visually, it's fine. The foam feels nice, feels soft. A huge stack height under your foot, oh my gosh. Usually with shoes with this large stack heights, you have like some foam kind of creeping over around the side of the shoe to make the stack height look taller than it actually is. In this case, while that does happen a tiny bit, it's barely any, way less than I would have expected. Your foot's kind of like resting like right here. So let me throw these guys on feet really quick. The Gel Nimbus 27s retail for $165. There's more premium options that come in at $175. I don't know what makes them more premium. Probably the material on the upper. I don't think the midsole foam is any different. Ooh, the tongue is nice. So it's got this springy like Flyknit, well, I can't call it Flyknit because it's not Flyknit. It's whatever they call their knit technology, but that tongue is super nice. It's thin, but still somewhat padded, but really, really stretchy and makes it really easy to get in your foot, and it's crazy breathable. Ooh, I love the way this upper feels. Very nicely padded. Let me see how it feels underfoot. That's the most important part. Is it weird that I was more impressed with the Antas? I think the Antas really got me going because they were 89 bucks. These, I mean, they feel like a $165 shoe. They feel really good, don't get me wrong. Doing some practice running over here. Yeah, overall, honestly, giving another A brand another A. Next up, we got a pair of shoes that I'm very excited about because I wear Birkenstocks all the time. This is the Birkenstock Boston Suede Soft. Not a great name, but there you go. So I already have some pairs of Birkenstock Bostons, but they are not the soft version. This version actually comes with a sort of pre-broken in footbed, which if you know anything about Birkenstocks, generally when you buy a pair of Birkenstocks, it takes a minute to break them in. They actually hurt pretty bad for like the first couple days. And then once you break them in, they feel incredible because they fit your foot perfectly. They mold to your foot. Now, what Birkenstocks did to kind of, I guess, quell the haters, or maybe help people with softer feet out, is they created the soft version, which is sort of, I wouldn't even say it's pre-broken in, it's just a softer material underneath the footbed, so it doesn't really press into your foot the way the other ones do. Now this colorway, fire. So I have a brown leather pair, which I like a lot, and I've worn a bunch. And the cool thing about Birkenstocks is that you can actually have them resold, but this one is a little bit like chiller, like a little bit more of like a laid back vibe. Now these aren't cheap, even though they are clogs, they're $170. There's another pair of clogs on this list that's cheaper than this, but I think for the quality that you're getting, and I think the fact that you can kind of have these last a lifetime, like Birkenstock will do maintenance on these, and you can take these to cobblers and they'll fix these up, kind of helps. So let me throw these guys on feet, see what the feel is. I think I went down a size 8.5 in these because I know that Birkenstocks, at least for me, or mules in general, fit me kind of big. Yeah, this is perfect. This is perfect. Look at that vibe right there. That is a vibe. All right, so if we're judging off of underfoot comfort alone, it's fine. I think the problem is that it's nowhere near as soft as really any of the shoes that we've tried. That being said, it does feel really nice in my foot, and it actually does a good job of kind of filling out my arch and giving me support. It doesn't feel like there's really anywhere that my foot doesn't have any kind of support, which I like. And I think the more that I wear it, the more comfortable it will get. However, the kind of comfort that you get from this shoe is not the kind of comfort that you get from any of these other running shoes. It's a much more firm comfort. And if you like firm shoes, Birkenstocks is a great way to go. I will say the suede on the upper feels really, really nice. It's really flexible. It's one of the softer materials that they have. There was also, there's soft versions of their other shoes too, like their leather ones, but the upper is not as flexible or as soft as this. It's tough to put these in the tier that I want to put them in because I think compared to some of the other shoes, it's not even a contest. So I've got to put these, I can't believe I'm doing this. I gotta put this in the D tier. It sucks because this list is really based off of comfort, and I think the comfort on these is really good. But if we're going off of my current definition of comfort, or the definition of comfort that I laid out at the beginning of the video of underfoot softness, I don't know if I can do better than a D. It's not because I don't love you, Birkenstock. I love Birkenstocks. These feel, you know what? Shoot, I'm giving them a C. I don't care. They're a C. In the same way that the 741s were a C because they were good for a basketball sneaker, these are a C because they're really good for a clog. Next up is a pair that I actually genuinely love the look of, and that is the Brooks Glycerin Max. This is another pair that I actually have had, but I didn't really wear too much because I knew I was gonna be doing videos like this, so I wanted to try it out and feel it. I did run in it once or twice, but I wanted it to still look fresh for videos like this. So here it is, the Brooks Glycerin Max. Now, as far as Max cushion shoes go, this shoe looks really good. Like, Max cushion shoes have this tendency to be bulky and ugly and look ridiculous, but this shoe, while yes, it is very bulky, look at that midsole. That midsole is crazy thick, oh my gosh. While it does look thick, it's not as busted as I think it could be. So I'm really happy with this. This shoe retails for $200, so it is not cheap whatsoever. It's actually one of the more expensive shoes on the list, but it is one of the more soft shoes on the list. Let's try this guy on, see how it fits, see how it feels. You've got what's the midsole tech? DNA tuned foam, which I think is actually like, you've got this carrier of foam on the outside, and then this yellow stuff on the inside is the DNA tuned. I could be wrong about that, but I mean, names of foam are somewhat arbitrary. They're all slightly different, but they name them whatever they want. Ooh, the upper is soft. Ooh, softness level maximum. Talk about Brooks Glycerin Max. Ooh, oh, it has a rocker shape in there too. Interesting. Ooh. This is an A with the potential to be an S. I say that because as much as I like the Asics upper a tad bit better than this one, the midsole of this one's, it's a different world. You are paying a lot more money. I think the money might be worth it. This shoe is very, very soft underfoot. I've got to give the Brooks Glycerin Max an A. After that, we've got a shoe from the brand Columbia, who you guys probably know from their outerwear. This is the Columbia Konos Featherweight. This brand actually did respond to me. A lot of these brands did respond. Weirdly enough, only some of them gave me suggestions. A lot of them were like, well, it really depends on what you like. And I'm like, well, I'm looking for this. And then they either didn't respond. Columbia did respond, and they got back to me very quickly, and they told me which pair that would be the most comfortable, and that was the Konos Featherweight. And according to this, it's lighter, faster, and the cushioning, well, it's lighter, faster cushioning. I don't know what faster cushioning is. Oh, adaptive cushioning and traction. Okay, let's try it out. The Columbia Konos. Visually, it's fine. Nothing like crazy. I wonder what they're trying to go for with this shoe, because I feel like Columbia, you want to have like, my guess would be rugged sort of trail shoes, potentially. I wouldn't immediately think of Columbia when I think of running shoes, but maybe they're trying to break into the running market. I don't know. I don't love the aesthetics. I think it's a little plain. I think they could have added something to the upper. Also, the upper just feels like a very basic engineered mesh. What's the price point on these guys? Okay, the price is $100. So that actually does help. The fact that these are $100 and not like $150 really does help a lot. It puts them in the same sort of category as the Antas. So I'm hopeful. Let's try them out. So according to the website, they use TechLite Plus, which maximizes impact absorption, energy return, and comfort. The upper does feel good, very well padded. Ooh, underfoot cushion. Oh, it's kind of stiff. Kind of stiff. Kind of stiff. It's tough because if I didn't know about those Antas, the Antas are skewing everything. If I didn't know about those Antas for $90, I would be like, okay, the Columbias aren't bad at all. I mean, $100, you get what you pay for. Knowing what the Antas feel like, that's really tough. The upper feels fine, but they do feel like a very basic shoe. And I think in terms of overall comfort, I really don't want to do this, but I think I gotta give them a D. And it's not because they're a bad shoe, but they could be better. So I gotta give them a D. The next shoe is from Converse, and weirdly enough, I feel like we're in a point of time where we're kind of in between two shoes that I think could be the #1 shoe. This is a pair that's sort of a more comfortable version of the standard Chuck Taylor, but we're about to get the Shea ones. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's signature sneaker. I haven't tried that yet, but it looks comfy, so very possible that that shoe takes the cake. But until then, this is the Converse Chuck Taylor All-Star CX EXP2. Kind of a wild name for a pair of Chucks, but there you go. Apparently this features CX foam. So here we go. Kind of looks like a standard pair of Chucks with a CX in the back. Don't mind it. It's not ugly. It's not like the classic Chuck colorway though. But hey, here you go. The Chuck All-Star CX EX2. I think that's actually right. All-Star CX. Yeah, I got that right. Wow, okay. So this, like I said, features CX foam. I'm assuming this is kind of like Vans Comfy Cush, where it's like a standard pair of Vans, but they put like a special softer foam inside the shoe instead of like their regular rubber. The bottom feels soft, so let me throw these guys on foot. The upper is exactly the same from what I could tell. Like it's the same canvas upper that you would usually have. Now I would have expected, because Converse is owned by Nike, that maybe they'd have some like kind of React versions, but I don't see any. Okay, they're on. Comfort-wise, I mean, they're not bad. They are definitely softer than a standard pair of Chucks, but they're not gonna like blow your mind. I think the upper feels fine. The midsole is definitely softer. If I gave the Birkenstocks a D, I'm giving these a D too. These can't be anything higher than a D. If you're gonna create a softer Converse and call it something ridiculous like the CX EXP2, at least give me some like Nike tech in here. $80 though, not a terrible price, but still, D tier. Oh, I gave the Birkenstocks a C. Nah, I think the Birkenstocks are more comfortable in these. Continuing on with the C's, we've got the Crocs Echo Wave. Now, Crocs are interesting because they make a lot of mules, but they also make sneakers now. So I was kind of debating, well, okay, if I'm trying to go with like sneakers, should I get one of their sneakers? But then I'm like, no, we've already got some other mules on the list, so I think it's fair to kind of go with the shoe that apparently is the consensus most comfortable shoe. They obviously didn't respond to my DM. But here we go. These are the Croc Echo Waves. These are a mule that is newer. They actually sent me a pair of these months ago, but this is not the pair that I got. They sent me like a tan color pair. This is just the all black pair. And what's cool about this is that it's got your regular like Crocs material, I think your Croslite material, and then you've got this super soft light ride footbed, which is pretty thick too. So honestly, I'm kind of excited to try these out. I did go with a size 8 because Crocs fit big. I don't remember if these fit big or not, but I felt like, you know, we'll be safe. We'll go with an 8 instead of a 9, because if it's way too roomy, then that would kind of suck. But here we go. Let's try them on. One thing I love about mules is you don't have to lace them. You just slide your feet right in. You're good to go. Yeah, they fit fine. That light ride is actually pretty nice. The light ride is nice. Honestly, it's better than a regular pair of Crocs. I've got to give these, in terms of overall comfort, I'm going to give these a B. They feel really good. They're very breathable. They're very soft underfoot. I don't think they're the prettiest shoes in the world. I think it's just too much going on in the upper, personally. It does feel good on foot. It's pretty breathable. It's very soft. I would happily throw these on every day. So I'm gonna give them a B. I think that's a fair rating. And they're also relatively inexpensive. They're $70 or $69.99, which is cheaper than the Columbias, and they're significantly softer than the Columbias. After that, we've got a pair from some friends of mine. This is the Culture Glider. Shout out to Culture Kicks, Culture Media, all good dudes, also from PA as well, or living in PA. And this is the shoe that they actually released themselves, so shout out to them. Box is pretty cool. I actually have not worn this shoe yet. They sent this to me a little while ago. The Culture Gliders, look at that. I think this is the Culture Glider 1 V3. It's the third iteration of their Culture Glider, I believe. So why don't we throw these guys on feet, see how they feel. they look like they're gonna be soft. Like you've got some really nice foam cushion in there. I don't know what the retail price is for these actually, let me check. All right, so the retail price for these is $89. Pretty reasonable. They're a pretty cool, sporty looking pair of shoes. Shout out again to Culture Kicks. I don't know if you guys watch them on TikTok or on YouTube or all sort of good stuff. Good guys, love Chase, they're all awesome. The upper feels good. The upper feels really good. They're soft and they're springy. They're actually really soft and springy. Now, they're not as soft as the Antas. I mean, I feel like it's gonna be tough to beat those, but honestly, these are really nice. Way nicer than I expected. Not that I was expecting them to be uncomfortable or anything, but I think dude, honestly, a lot of these like $90 shoes are punching above their weight. Yeah, these are soft, man. That's really nice. And then you've got this sort of like TPU or plastic, I guess it's a shank plate in there that really kind of springs you into the next step. I'm impressed. Shout out to Culture for these, man. Oh my gosh, $90? Now, where do these rank? I do feel as though they are between a C and a B. I mean, they are comfy. They're not like super squishy though, that's the thing. What's in the B tier? Let me see what we got in the B tier. The B tier is the Crocs Echo Wave and the Air Jordan 40s. Let me try them on a hard surface. This is actually way harder than I expected. Oh, they got some nice spring in the back. I think I gotta go C. And it's not because I think they're bad shoes. I actually like these shoes a lot. But if we're ranking the shoes sort of relative with each other, I think they're not as soft as the Crocs Echo Waves or the Air Jordan 40s. So I gotta go with C, although they're still very comfortable. Next up is the Diadora Mythos Blue Shield 10 Vortis HIP. This is a pair of shoes that I believe retails for, let me check, $170. That is more than I would have thought. Let's check it out. Diadora makes some cool stuff. They have I think an Italian division and then actually a Philadelphia division. So this is another somewhat local brand. They're not bad. Not my favorite, but not bad. I think Diadora kind of excels with their more traditional leather sneakers, or in that department specifically. These aren't bad though. So apparently the reason they're called the Blue Shield Vortis is because Vortis is their max cushion foam. But I will say from squeezing the foam I'm just in hand, it doesn't feel like that soft. I'm hoping it's a lot softer on foot. The upper feels soft, the tongue feels super pillowy, which I like. Throw these guys on, see what we're working with here. 170 bucks. There's a lot to live up to. There's a lot of good shoes at 170 bucks. I mean, shoot, those Asics that we tested earlier were 165. So for $5 more, this shoe better like rock my world. And it could. Feeling it in my hand, I don't know. Apparently this also comes with Blue Shield technology, which mediates the asymmetrical behavior of the feet, transforming uneven foot placement into balanced run. The great advantage of this technology is that it only acts when you need it. Don't know what that means, but let's try these out. Okay, so they are softer on foot than I was expecting. Not much though. I mean, they're not uncomfortable. They're definitely not uncomfortable. They are comfortable shoes, but I mean, cushioning wise, it should not be called a max cushion. This is like a very regular cushion. This is like a Nike Pegasus cushion. Don't get me wrong, it's fine. I think that's a Blue Shield in the bottom. Apparently that only works when you need it to work, which I don't know what that means, but there you go. I gotta give these a C. Honestly, I'm close to giving them a D because like these have no business calling themselves a max cushion shoe. The upper is soft though. The upper like is not far off from max cushion. Like you've got a lot of ankle area, but that midsole, dude, like what? How can you call that max cushion? For 100, yeah, I'm gonna give these a D. D for Diadora. Wow, we had C for Culture Kicks, D for Diadora. That's crazy. Okay, next up we've got a pair of shoes from another friend of mine. This is the John Geiger 004. Let's check it out. So John Geiger has a couple different silhouettes. This is, I believe, his most comfortable pair. And realistically, I've had a couple pairs of these, so I know how they feel, and they feel good on foot. The 004 is also like a really clean looking pair of shoes too. Now in terms of like underfoot cushion though, I don't think you would consider this a max cushion shoe. I think you'd consider this more of a well cushioned but not overly cushioned shoe. The upper has some padding in there, nothing major though, and the midsole, while it kind of looks like Boost, it's not Boost obviously. I also don't think it's as soft as Boost. Okay, let's try these on. I will say, love the John Geiger logo on the bottom of the shoe. The traction pattern with the JG, fire. Also, the design of this shoe, very much fire. But let's find out how comfortable it is on foot. Running out of hard surfaces to try in the studio because over there I filled up with boxes. I don't want to give this shoe what I think I'm going to give it because I think it's a fire shoe. But if we're judging things on pure comfort, retail price is $250 I think for this colorway. For the standard colorway, it's $240. Apparently it's got a white EVA popcorn layer midsole. If we're going off of pure plushness, I got to give it a D. I think overall it is a very cool shoe. And I really hate giving fire shoes like this a D. Same thing with the Culture Kicks shoes. I think those are, in terms of like aesthetics, I really like those a lot. And I love the way these look. This is tough because I don't like giving shoes that I really like a lower rating. And I think initially I was thinking D because the cushion itself is not super soft. I'm gonna try it against the Diadoras. I think this is where we find out what Diadora is made of. Because if this is not as soft or the same level of softness as these Geigers, which has a very regular EVA foam, the Diadoras might have to hit an F tier. I'm gonna be honest with you. No, it's softer than Geigers. I gotta give the Geigers a D. I love the Geigers, but if I gave these a D, I gotta give these a D because they're just not as soft. After that, we've got the Hoka Bondi 9. Now this pair is well known. Hoka is well known for being not only stable shoes, but also very soft shoes. Now the Bondi 9 comes with an incredibly plush upper and then what they call super critical EVA foam or super critically foamed EVA. What a weird name for a foam, super critically foamed EVA. I'm sure it like makes sense if you know the manufacturing process, maybe, but I just keep thinking they're like messing up saying super critically formed EVA or super critical EVA foam, I don't know. But either way, here they are, the Bondi 9s. Visually, they do look like doctor shoes. I don't love the way that these look. That being said, they are better than the Bondi 8s. In my opinion. In terms of visuals, I think out of max cushion shoes, I think these are on the lower end. I don't think they're ugly, it's not something you'd see me rocking that often. I do really like Hokas a lot. I think there's a lot of good looking Hokas, but I don't think these are the cream of the crop. I will say comfort wise though, I'm expecting a lot. Bondi 9s, baby. I love the Bondi 8s, so these better be fire. So these shoes are 175 bucks and let's find out if they're actually worth 175 bucks. Yeah, these are nice. I hope editor Tim doesn't put that in because that was ridiculous, but that's a real test right there.
Dab on them.
There's a lot of people that are gonna be like, oh, you're not running in the shoes, you're not trying these things out. I've tried a lot of these shoes before, first of all. Second of all, this is a first impression comfort test. That's what we're going for here. And the Hoka Bondi 9s, very soft on foot. This is making me rethink a lot though. I'm gonna be honest, I think I'm gonna have to adjust some tier lists here. Well, I gotta try something really quick. I think that if I wanna put this shoe in the A, and this shoe is also an A, this might have to become an S. So let me try on the Brooks Glycerin once again, next to the Bondi 9s. Bro, yeah. I think we're gonna give the Bondi 9s an A. 175 bucks is a lot, but I think you're getting a good stability running shoe, a good max cushion shoe, that's great. But I do think that after trying these on, if this is an A, this is an S. And I'm actually gonna keep this off to the side because I wanna compare the other ones that I consider to be S's against this because right now, this is the most comfortable shoe out of everything that we tried. And I think for that reason, it has to be an S. After that, we've got the Mizunos. This was actually the brand, shout out to Mizuno by the way, that I asked them what the most comfortable shoe was and they're like, here, we'll send you 4 of them. And I was like, dope. But then I had already bought this pair because I wanted to be kind of more fair about it. I have checked out the shoes that they sent. They are awesome. But this is one that I think they recommended as like their max cushion shoe that wasn't like a marathon shoe. I don't remember the DM, it's been a couple weeks, but this is a shoe that I bought and there was a reason for it. But either way, this is the Mizuno Wave Sky 9. It comes in this pretty nice look. Mizuno is a brand that not a lot of people carry. They have it on their website, and then they also have it, I think, at Kith. That's like one of the only US retailers for it. So it's a brand that, while a lot of people know about, it's a Japanese running brand, it's a brand that not a lot of people own, just because it's not the easiest shoe to get. I think, to be fair, the running ones are sold at more retailers like Runner's Warehouse or something like that. But I think the more lifestyle ones. This shoe retails for 180 bucks, which makes it one of the more expensive shoes on the list. I know that Mizuno is heavily into running, and they do make some good running shoes, and I actually run in some of their shoes, and I like them a lot. I have yet to try this pair. It does look soft, though. It feels soft. It looks like the cushion that they're using is Mizuno Energy Next. Let me try these guys on. It's funny because like they do kind of look like the Bondi 9s that we just looked at, but they don't look as goofy, and I don't know why that is. Maybe they feel like more sleek. The Bondi 9s just look kind of like, they look a little comical. I love Hoka. Again, love Hoka. But I'm not a fan of the visuals of the Bondi 9. Ooh, all right, Mizuno. I gotta try the Bondi 9s again, I'll be honest with you. I can't remember if these are softer than the Bondi 9s, or if they're not as soft as the Bondi 9. No, I think the Bondi 9s are softer. They're very similar to the Bondi 9s. I think I like the Bondi 9s a tad bit more, but I think these do still have to be an A. Very soft on foot. I gotta give them an A. The next shoe up is a heavy hitter and a shoe that has topped my list of most comfortable sneakers many years in a row. Now this is the latest version, which I actually have not fully tried out yet, so I'm really excited to check this one out. This is the New Balance Fresh Foam X More V6, the 6th version of this shoe. They're like max cushion shoe. And boy, is it max. Here's the thing. This shoe feels crazy underfoot. That being said, boy, is it a chunker. Would I wear this shoe casually? That's a tough ask. I've worn it casually before. Well, I felt like 2 inches taller, but also I felt a little goofy. So this shoe, I believe, retails for 160 bucks, which actually makes it one of the more reasonably priced max cushion shoes on the list. I do think this has the potential to give the Brooks Glycerin Max a major run for its money. So I'm very excited to try this out. You've got Fresh Foam X in the midsole, which is one of their softer foams. I do think it's like their race day foam. I think it's close to that, which means it's gonna be super soft, super squishy, and probably crease like a muh. I've never said that before. I don't know why all of a sudden I felt like now was the time to bust out a muh, but here we go. Here we go. Let's throw this guy on. Already feeling good. Upper feels good. Engineered mesh with some nice padding. I still love the tongue on the Asics. That tongue was tough to beat. My goodness. This is plush, boy. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. We've got an S tier. We've got an S tier in our midst. Now, to be fair, I think I can't bump this one down. I think it's gonna be multiple S tiers, is what I mean. I do think it's up there with this. I don't know side by side. I'll try them out a little bit later. You know what? Shoot, let me just see. Man, that's close though. This is gonna be really tough. I don't know what I'm gonna do here. There are things that I like about both. I think they're both obviously S's. 100%. This next one I'm incredibly excited for because this is one of Nike's latest sneakers. I'm having so much trouble pulling it out. There we go. This is the Nike Vomero Plus. Now this actually replaces the Invincible Run 3. Honestly, like 4 years at this point was the most comfortable shoe that I'd ever worn from Nike. This promises to be as soft, if not more soft than that. Now, interestingly enough, that shoe compared to these shoes, not in the same league, so I'm really interested to see if they made this softer than these, and we will be comparing them side by side. This shoe retails for 180 bucks and features a full ZoomX midsole that is thick, and visually, I mean, this shoe, it hits. This is a beautiful shoe. Really, really nice looking shoe. But the question is, does this stand up to the competition? Now, interestingly enough, Nike is releasing the Vomero premium version in October, which is supposed to be a more premium version. We're gonna have to try that shoe side by side with this shoe. I'm actually gonna do a full video comparing the regular Vomero 18s to the pluses and then to the premiums. But let me try these guys on. This is a shoe that, I'll be honest with you, I think I was most excited about because I really love the Invincible Run 3. It was such a great shoe. And if this is better than that, then Nike's got a winner on their hands. And I think even if it's not as soft as like the Brooks and the other shoes, it looks better. First impressions. Boy, does it feel nice on foot initially. The upper feels great. It's breathable, very well padded around the ankle. Let's see how it feels underfoot. Absolutely. Let's go, boys. This is how professionals test shoes. I think we got another S tier here. Now, I don't know if it's gonna beat like the New Balances or the Brooks. So I'm gonna try those on really quick. I wanna see how it stacks up against those, but I'm not taking it out of the S tier. I think this is an S tier shoe. They're both really soft. I think the New Balance has more foam and it's a bit squishier, but I don't think the Nike is that far behind. And I think I've gotta lean towards Nike in terms of like everyday wear because I think it looks better than all of them. Obviously, he's getting an S tier. Following that up, we've got a shoe from another designer friend of mine. This is No Two Ways. This was a brand founded by or co-founded by Calux, another YouTuber. This pair was actually sent to me a while ago, and I did some research, and it looks like this is still like their main silhouette. It's called the No Two Ways Model 1. I believe it retails for $170, and honestly, absolutely fire. Huge shout out to No Two Ways for sending me a bunch of pairs throughout the years. This pair is super clean, and I just honestly hadn't had a chance to throw them on foot yet because they'd sent me a bunch of other Model 1s that I've been rocking instead. And this one, ooh, it's a mocha colorway, I believe, right? Look at that. This is a beautiful shoe. Oh, there's a note. Oh my gosh. Bro, I'm such a bad... Oh, it's not a note. It's a... Oh, what is this? A solid metal No Two Ways keychain. That's This is like... Thank you so much, Rockwell, for sending me this pair. This pair is absolutely fire. I wish I'd opened it sooner. But I've been wearing your other shoes. You sent me a lot of shoes. And they're all fire. And you guys are killing it. Guys, check out No Two Ways if you haven't yet. There's a lot of really good designers here that we've looked at. We've got the Geigers. We've got the No Two Ways. Who else we got? We got Culture as well. Like a lot of people that friendly with or friends with that are making really cool stuff. So I'm excited about that. Let me throw these guys on. Like I said, 170 bucks, which is not bad. And I'm interested to see how they feel. Now this is one of those shoes that definitely seems to prioritize style over comfort. I don't think it's gonna be an uncomfortable shoe, but I don't think it's gonna be, I don't think we're talking like an S tier here. Maybe I'm crazy for saying that. Maybe when I try these on. I've worn a lot of Model 1s though. They are comfy, but it's not like they're not gonna win any like Max Cushion awards. But man, do they look good. Look at that. Definitely not bad. They look good on foot. They do look really good on foot. So, visually, love the way these look. Comfort-wise, they're very regular. But that's a good thing. I think if they were irregular, they'd either be really comfortable or really uncomfortable. And I'd say that they lean more towards like the regularly comfy. Definitely a dope shoe. Love the Model 1, love the way it looks, love the brand, but I think I gotta give it a D. I wanna give it a C. If I gave the John Geigers a D, and definitely if I gave the Diadoras a D, I think I gotta give these a D. Again, purely for comfort, relative to the other shoes on this list. That's what this list is. It's a comfort list, like an overall softness list, and they are I'd say a D. I do have to say, I am very, very happy and relieved that we haven't had any Fs yet. That would be wild because it's supposed to be the most comfortable shoe from every brand. If we have an F, that's a problem. Next up is this pair right here. This is the On Cloudsurfer Max. This pair, I believe, replaces the On Cloud Eclipse from 2 years ago. Looks similar to that shoe, but also features some sort of On Cloudsurfer aesthetics, and is their max cushion shoe. So I'm really excited to try this out. I love On. On has been a brand that I've really started to fall in love with. And this shoe, their new max cushion shoe, so I gotta try it. I think retail price, we're looking at $180, which is not bad. Obviously, it comes with the Cloud Tech Phase, which is the holes through the midsole. At least that's what I think that it is, or at least from what I could tell. And then you've also got Helium Super Foam, which is the foam around the holes in the midsole. Obviously, On is a brand that is kind of based on these boxes are getting ridiculous. On is a brand that is kind of known for the holes through the midsole, which is kind of their signature thing that I think they patented, but yet somehow Skechers is doing it as well. Skechers, man, I go so back and forth on Skechers. I actually have a pair of Skechers here that we're gonna try out. But they do things that I really like, and then they do other things that I'm like, really? And creating a shoe that looks like a pair of Ons is like, really? Come on. Like, we know exactly what you're doing. But let me throw these guys on feet and see how they feel. They got that tongue that the Asics had that I really like, that sort of stretchy mesh tongue. That's very soft and breathable. The upper is minimal. Nowhere near as much padding as something like the Asics or the Hoka or the Nike or any of those shoes, but it's really breathable and it's very stretchy, so it feels good. Let's try this underfoot cushion, this Cloud Tech Phase. I'm a little disappointed. The On Cloud Eclipses, I remember them being crazy soft. These don't feel that crazy soft, and maybe it's because I'm trying them against like a bunch of other crazy shoes. Let me throw them on versus like the Nikes, for example. Let's try them versus these, because these I think are the least soft of the three top runners by a very slim margin. But I want to see like if I'm going crazy or if they really aren't as soft as I think that they aren't. That's so weird. I'm gonna try them over here. Maybe the floor is different over here. That's crazy. I really thought that these On Cloud Eclipses would be an S tier. Like genuinely, I went into this thinking there's no way these aren't an S tier. I think these are an A. Wow, and the foam doesn't, are these, did I buy the right shoe? Am I? Cloudsurfer Max. Yeah, no, these are not an S tier. Definitely not. I wish I still had my pair of Cloud Eclipses because I would love to try those versus this, but these are not an S tier. These are definitely an A. Well, the good news is we've got another pair of shoes that has the potential to be an A. This is the Puma Nitro MagX, or the Puma MagX Nitro, widely considered to be the most comfortable shoe that Puma makes, mainly because it's got a stupid amount of nitro foam in the midsole. So here we go. This is another shoe that I've owned in the past I got rid of because it wasn't my size. I had to buy a size 9.5. When these first dropped, they were impossible to buy. They sold out everywhere, but now they're much more available, so I was able to sell the size 9.5 earlier this year and then finally buy my size 9 in a colorway that I actually like better. Sort of the, I don't want to call it the pea yellow colorway, but it kind of reminds me of that. I like the fade. I didn't really think of it being pea yellow until right now. So maybe I shouldn't have bought this colorway. But this pair retails for 180 bucks. It's kind of in line with a lot of these other max cushion shoes. Obviously, the midsole foam is nitro foam. It doesn't feel as soft as I remember it feeling. Let's throw these guys on feet, see what we've got here. The upper feels nice. It's got that same tongue that I really like, that sort of thick knit that's very breathable, but it is more padded, so I like that a lot. The upper feels good. The midsole, though, that's the real question. So it is soft, but is it S tier soft? That's what I'm debating right now. Let me throw on these New Balances, see what we're working with here. No, it's not S tier soft. I just, as soon as I try these other shoes on, no, it's not S tier soft. It is very soft. It's at the high end of A. The Puma MagX Nitro, definitely an A, not an S. I didn't expect that to be the case, but I think these might be softer than the Ons. I'm giving these a high A. Now we're opening the Reebok Floatzig 2. Last time I did this video last year, the Floatzig 1 was the pair that was out, so this is the second iteration of the shoe. And looks very similar. Now, with that being said, I really like the Floatzig 1. It was a shot. It was a surprise. Was it like an S tier shoe? No. But way more comfortable than I think it had any right to be. Shout out to Shaq and AI for bringing Reebok back to the spotlight. I really love Shaq and AI. So this shoe retails for 120 bucks, so it's probably the cheapest max cushion shoe from any like super major brand, at least in the United States. And I do think it looks cool. I really like the way it looks a lot. So let me throw these guys on feet. You've got, what do they call this midsole foam? Let me check it out. So according to their website, it's Zig midsole with Super Float Plus foam. So it's the Zig shape with Super Plus foam. Also, the rubber outsole is cool because it's just like a thin rubber layer that they just glued on, so you've got these areas that are just rubber. I'm excited about these. I'll be honest, I'm excited because I didn't know what to expect last year and I was blown away by how much I liked them. I'm very excited this year. Hopefully I'm not let down. I don't think I'm gonna be let down. That first step and feel was like, all right, I see you, Reebok. You ever want to drop an Apothecary shoe, let me know. The upper feels great. Let me try them in comparison to the Mizuno's really quick. I think I might have set myself some unreal expectations here because they are very soft, but I don't know if they're an A tier. I think we're looking at a high B, but for 120 bucks, that's a good thing. Next up, we've got the Salomon Aeroglide 3. Last year I did, again, this video like I mentioned before, but it was the Aeroglide 2, and I was disappointed. So I'm gonna try the Aeroglide 3, see if it's better. I remember from what I saw online, it looked very similar. It does look very similar, but the midsole foam feels softer, at least from what I can remember. It's got Energy Evo foam, and according to my notes, that is worth 160 bucks. That is the retail price of this shoe. It's not a bad looking sneaker, I'm not gonna lie. It's not a bad looking pair of shoes. So the upper comfort is nice, not like a huge amount of padding, but there's also not like a huge amount of stiffness in the upper, so it kind of moves with your foot. Let's try out the underfoot cushion. Oh, all right, Salomon the Wise, let's go. Not bad. Not bad. I'm gonna try these against the Nike Vomeros, man. I'm interested, guys. It exceeded my expectations. It was significantly better than last year's pair in terms of underfoot softness. And I do think we're talking about an A here. Next up is the Saucony Triumph 23. Another shoe that gets updated every year. Last year was a 22. A shoe that, it's always been kind of middle of the pack for me when it comes to max cushion shoes. Like, it's good, but it's never like the top, and it's definitely never the bottom. I've never been blown away or let down by it. It's always fine. So I'm hoping that this year the Triumph 23 triumphs and is an S tier. But let's find out. So this pair retailed for a pretty average 170 bucks. Design-wise, pretty average as well. I like that they painted the cushion. It also looks a little bit like Boost. I feel like there's a lot of pellet-based style cushions these days. So I'm interested to see, I mean, it's pretty lightweight. I think it's a decent looking shoe. Now for 170 bucks, is this a shoe I'm gonna buy and want to rock every day? Let's find out. It's not bad. Man, I'm really gonna have to try to get some Mizunos because I feel like, are the Mizunos a B or an A? I forget, they're an A. I wonder if it even fits in the A category. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Man, I don't know. That's tough. If it is an A, I think it's a lower A. I'm gonna be honest with you, I think I'm gonna give it a B. I do think it's a high B, but I do think it's a B. The time is here and the time is now. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been wondering about this, but we finally got to our pair of Skechers. Now, it was almost impossible to figure out what was the most comfortable pair of Skechers. Skechers did respond to my DM and did give me some options, but they didn't say which one was gonna be the softest. They just kind of said, these are the ones that we say are the softest. This is the Max Cushioning Arch Fit 2.0 specifically. I believe that, oh, it's machine washable. There you go. I think a lot of these shoes might be machine washable, but they really call it out. Like Skechers is going for that mass market, and that's okay. I think they're the second largest sneaker brand out there. I think it's Nike and then Skechers. It could have changed, but last time I saw that statistic, that was what it was. So yeah, designed to slip on hands-free, just step in and go. Exclusive heel pillow holds your foot securely in place. No more bending. Wow, there you go. Obviously, they're not going for the, you know, the younger market like myself. Yeah, I'm still early 30s, that's fine. I was about to say I was 34. Nothing wrong with that either. Design-wise, not as bad as I was expecting, but still not great. Like I said, I have a love-hate relationship with Skechers in that I love what they're trying to do, and I love how good they are at what they're trying to do. Like, this is brilliant, the way that they did this box. It's ugly, but it's brilliant, and it works well for them, and that's why they're doing so well. I also don't mind their technologies. I think some of the things that they're doing are really cool. I'm an Embiid fan. I want to like Skechers, I'll say that. But then they do things like basically completely rip off another brand. That just kind of turns me off. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna try these on hands-free, see if they live up to the claim of being hands-free, and find out how comfy they actually are. It says hands-free inside the shoe too, that's kind of crazy. So let's try these on. Okay, here we go, guys. Hands-free. They were hands-free. I think you should tie the shoes first, because now my shoes are unlaced, and I'm not gonna touch them with my hands. So, they're very wide. That extra wide fit was not a lie. Ooh, all right. Okay, here's the question. Can I take them off hands-free? Yes, very easily. I'm impressed. Am I blown away? No, but I am impressed. They were softer than I expected. Now the midsole foam itself, not very soft. Diadora level, wow, this is a thick, makes sense why this shoe is so soft on your foot. The insole, very, very thick. Also cooling, which is nice, and really nice arch support. And the upper, very soft. Genuinely, this is the first shoe that didn't have like a super soft midsole that I think I'm actually gonna put in the B tier. This is the Diadora Skechers Showdown. Wow, this shoe is so much wider. That's crazy. This has no business being a size 9. Maybe they're both gonna be D tiers. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do here. This is weird because next to the Diadoras, the insole is significantly softer in the Skechers, and they feel cooler on foot because they're bigger and they're air cooled. I don't know what that means. Maybe it's just ventilation holes. I don't know. I wouldn't say they're in a different league than the Diadoras. That being said, the Diadoras, like, they were all about max cushion. But to be fair, the Skechers say that too. So here's what I gotta do. I either have to bump the Diadoras up to a C, or I gotta bump the Skechers down to a D, and I don't know what to do in this situation. What are the other Ds here? So we got the Columbias and the Converses. I gotta try one thing, guys. if I'm about to do what I think I'm gonna do, I've got to make sure that I'm making the right decision here. So we've got to double check some ththings. I just made it more complicated. What's in C tier? We got Culture Gliders, we got Birkenstocks, we got the Rovers, we got the Adidas Arukus. I put the Arukus in C tier. Okay, if the Arukus are in C tier, then yeah, these are in D tier. They're in D tier. Now we've got the Under Armour. These are the Under Armour UA Infinite Elite 2. This is their max cushion shoe, or what's purported to be their max cushion shoe. I had to do some research to figure this out. They didn't respond to me. Let's see how it fits, how it feels. Another shoe with a pellet-based foam, it looks like. So apparently they're using Hover Plus, and Hover is a decent foam, and so I'm excited about these. I'm excited about trying these on. Actually, Embiid was with Under Armour until he went to Skechers. First impressions, at least at the upper, not bad. See what we're working with. Okay, now the question is the Hover gonna live up to the hype? Am I gonna hover? Let's find out. It's not bad. You know what's interesting? It feels a lot like how I remember these feeling from a couple minutes ago, the Sauconys. Let me try them on side by side. It's definitely a thicker, is it thicker? It might not be. It's about the same. The Saucony is a tad softer. I can feel it right off the bat. So because of that, what did I rank the Sauconys? The Sauconys, I gave them a B. I'm gonna give these a C. Next up, we've got a late addition to the party. This is the Judah Low by Unitus, which is actually Jonathan Isaac's brand. It is a Christian brand. It's got a Bible verse, I believe, on every sneaker. Now, there is a newer model, not of this particular shoe. This is a Judah Low. There's a newer model called the Fortra, which I think is more of a running model. So there is a potential that that could be softer. But to be honest with you, I forgot I had these, and then I saw them and I was like, oh shoot, that's a whole nother brand. They're all assumptions. I don't know if the other pair was softer. I do know that this is considered a pretty comfortable pair of sneakers. Now, what's cool about this, in the same way that Jaylen Brown has his own basketball sneaker, Jonathan Isaac has created his own basketball brand, which is really cool to see. I love that basketball players are creating their own sneakers. It's very, very cool. So I'm excited to try these on, see how they feel on foot, see how they look. According to reviews on the website, there is no break-in time needed. Well, it's not an actual review. It's like a testimonial on the website. We'll see if that's actually the case. These are $140. There's a high-top version. I think the low-top version is supposed to be more comfortable just because it's lower. There's less stuff on your foot. Kind of tight, but as we've seen with other basketball sneakers, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah, as much as I like this shoe, I like the concept. I like Jonathan Isaac a lot. This one says Romans 8:31. There's just not a lot of cushion in this at all. It's a pretty stiff shoe. You get a lot of court feel, I would assume. Yeah, I gotta give these a D. These are probably the least cushioned shoe on the entire list. We've got two more pairs of shoes. The first one is the Vans MTE UltraRange 2.0 RW. This pair is the latest version of the Vans UltraRange. This shoe comes in at a retail price of $100, which is high for a pair of Vans, so this better be soft underfoot. I mean, the foam doesn't feel not soft. I'll be honest, I've had bad experiences with the UltraRange line. I actually prefer the Comfy Cush Vans Old Schools, even though they're like thicker and they don't look as good as regular Old Schools. I feel like this line just doesn't have its own identity. It's trying to be something that it's not, and it doesn't do a very good job of being that. I don't know. Let's try these out. I haven't tried the 2.0s. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it's super comfy. It is a pretty basic looking pair of shoes, so I'm not gonna lie to you. And for $100, okay, here we go. Man. Not much to say. Definitely a D. Although it feels like it should be softer than it is by squeezing the foam in the midsole, it's not soft at all. The upper's fine. It's lightweight. It feels like it could be breathable. It's somewhat padded around the back. It's flexible. Like, it's not bad. I don't know how this is the most comfortable shoe that Vans makes. I guess I forgot how, like, uncomfortable the Old Schools are. I have a pair. Like, I guess I just haven't worn them in a minute. Man, I gotta be honest with you. I might have to bump up the Diadoras because if this is how these feel, either I'm gonna bump down the Judahs and the Vans to an F, or I'm gonna make the Diadoras a C. I don't know what I'm gonna do here, but Diadora and Skechers, your reckoning has come. Diadora and Skechers, you are no longer relegated to the D tier. Instead, you have been upgraded to the C tier. So we've got one final pair of shoes left, and this one's kind of interesting because it's actually a pair of shoes from a brand that makes a bunch of different shoes for a bunch of different brands. That, of course, is the Zellerfeld pair of shoes that we've got right here, which is a fully 3D printed pair of shoes. Now, because they use the same material for all of their shoes, I picked one because I've had a lot of Zellerfeld shoes and they all feel very similar. So of course I picked the one that is my shoe. This is the Zellerfeld Apothecary Mule. They're all made with the same thermoplastic polyurethane and they all feel really good on foot. Now, this is my personal pair. I had some other pairs that I just recently unboxed, but we used them for photo shoots, so this pair looks a little beat because I've worn it a bunch. It's actually not that bad. So what I've got to say about this shoe, first of all, is that, again, I understand it sounds like I'm biased because this is my shoe. I own the brand Apothecary, and we're releasing a shoe with Zellerfeld on August 29th for $150 at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on apothecary.com and on Zellerfeld.com. We're also doing an in-store launch on August 30th at Takeout NY, so if you want to try the shoe on for yourself, you can do it there. But Zellerfeld is unique in the sense that all of their shoes are made from the same TPU, and they all feel amazing. It's like crazy soft. You would never expect a recyclable plastic to be this soft. It really feels like a foam. It's kind of wild. And the more that you wear it, actually the softer it gets, which is pretty cool. Somewhat biased, but also genuinely, I think the design of the shoe makes them a bit easier to get on and off. I will say that the Apothecary mules, I think, are the most comfortable shoe that Zellerfeld makes. It's really cool that we're working with Zellerfeld because they also make the Nike Air Max 1000s, and that just released, and that does feel really good on foot. Why don't we throw these guys on feet, see how they feel? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, these really do feel good on foot. I'm not gonna lie. And I get it. You guys are probably all saying, oh man, of course he's gonna put a shoe high up on the list. I'm not gonna put it as high as you think I am, although I think it could fit as high as I wanna put it, but I'm not gonna put it there. I'm gonna give this shoe a very high B. I'm gonna try it against the Salomons. I really am. I genuinely think it could compete. Maybe I'm wrong, but I do think it could compete. And again, I'm not saying that the Apothecary mule in particular is the most comfortable, although I actually did say that. I'm saying that Zellerfeld in general, their shoes are very, very comfortable and I think could be in the echelon that I'm possibly gonna put them in. Man, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I think it's an A tier. All right, so this is the Nike Air Max 1000. This is the shoe that I said wasn't as comfortable as this shoe because of the air unit in the heel and the fact that it's not a mule. I'm gonna compare this shoe to the shoe that I just compared this shoe to, the Salomon Aeroglide 3s, which I think is solidly an A, probably one of the better A's, and see how it stacks up. This is my honest, non-biased, genuine reaction and impression. So here we go. So trying these two on, I think that I might have to give the Nike a B, which is weird because I genuinely think that the Apothecary mules are softer than the Nikes. The mules are a lot softer than the Nikes. I don't know if it's because they're broken in or if maybe they're just that much more comfortable. So if the Apothecary mules are as soft as the Hoka Bondi 9s underfoot, then I'm gonna give them an A. Straight up. I don't care if it seems biased. I'm being serious here. Like, genuinely, this shoe is crazy soft. Oh my gosh. I think it's an A, guys. Dude, I'm honestly going to give this an A. I don't care. I don't care what you guys say. I just tried on a shoe that was not my shoe. It's softer than the Hokas. All right, so it has been about a week since I filmed the last unboxing. Maybe not a week, like 4 days, but I got 3 more pairs of sneakers, actually more than I even expected. I ended up buying an extra pair because I realized I forgot that brand. And as I'm sitting here, I'm realizing I forgot another brand. Shoot. It is what it is. Shout out to Mosh. I really want to try his newest sneaker. I think it's on pre-order, so it's not like readily available at the moment from what I know, but I would have bought that sneaker if I had thought about it. My bad, Mosh. Shout out to Mosh, by the way. His sneakers are very comfortable, I can tell you that, from owning some of his previous pairs. But we do have UGG, of course. How could I forget UGG? This was the one I bought on Goat Instant Ship because I realized after the fact, I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to buy UGG. Next up is actually a brand new brand, Skylark, which is Justin Bieber's Skylark. And then after that, we've got Sia Collective, somewhere in America. So let's just dive into these. Let's kind of go in alphabetical order because everything else was in alphabetical order. We'll add them to the list and see if any of these dethrone the top like 3 sneakers we've got currently. This is the Sia Collective or the Somewhere in America MT sneaker. Sia actually did respond to my comments, so shout out to them. They make some really cool stuff. This is actually the first pair that I bought though. So here we go. You got this dust bag. It has AstroTurf in the bottom too. That's crazy. Okay, so let's pull out the shoes. Whew. These are dope. These are really dope. So a friend of mine, Jason Negrito Diaz, actually I believe was involved either in the design of this shoe or some other shoes with the brand. So shout out to him, he's awesome. He worked on a collaborative effort with me on a pair of shoes from years ago. But these are so sick. So let's try this pair on, see how it feels. If it feels as good as it looks, that's the question. Because this looks dope. I'm actually gonna rock this. Maybe today even. Wow, the insole is sick too. Oh my gosh. So as far as pricing goes, I ended up paying $252. I think the actual price of the shoe was $219.99, but with shipping and taxes and everything, it came out to $252. Let's try them on. So right off the bat, they look dope. Like really, really dope. But comfort-wise, I mean, they're comfortable for sure, but they're not like mind-blowing comfort. You don't have any of that super foam in there. So because of that, as much as I like this shoe and I plan to rock this shoe, I think it's probably got to be, I think a C. Next up, we've got this Skylark, the Bieber Special. So this is the Skylark Chunky Mule in the smudge color. I'm actually doing a full review on this shoe, so stay tuned for that. Here we go. Inside the box, you got some paper. Nothing crazy special. And then the smudges themselves. These are dope. And this colorway, I guess, could be, you know, considered smudge. I think that's fair. I actually really love that name. I think that's awesome. I'm never gonna forget the name of this colorway. The smudge Chunky Mules. And wow, these are crazy. Look at these. I actually haven't seen these yet. These are really wild. I love wild looking shoes. And hopefully Skylark becomes the new brand that creates like the crazy sneakers that everyone wants and loves. So yeah, on the outside of these shoes, you got like this soft, almost like carpet feeling material. It's not really a chenille. I don't know what it is. Some sort of like soft fabric. The midsole is crazy chunky. Like this is all midsole foam. That's wild. Let me throw these on feet really quick, see how they feel. Pricing wise though, not the cheapest. These retailed for 180 bucks, which is a lot. It is still very cool. And I mean, 180 bucks is not crazy. It is a little high, but it's not crazy. Oh, they fit nice. They fit like a glove. They look kind of wild on foot, I'm not gonna lie. Comfort wise, oh, they're not bad. I guess in terms of overall comfort, I might have to give these a B, realistically. What else is on the B list? Let me see. Let me see if they compare with the other Bs, because if they don't compare with the other Bs, I can't put them on B. Yeah, I think these are a B. I think Justin Bieber busted out with a Bieber B. Shout out, that was weird. That was a weird thing to say, but it was all Bs. So there you go. All right, so finally, we've got the Uggs. Now, apparently the most comfortable pair is the Uggs Tasman, which is one of their most popular pairs. This pair is consistently sold out. I believe it retails for $125, and I think I paid around $130 or $140 because I had to buy it on GOAT, and it was above retail because these pairs do sell out. And in men's sizes, they're harder to find. Not impossible, because guys do rock these. I've been trying to get my wife a pair of these for a minute, and when she saw this box show up, she's like, yo, you bought yourself a pair? I'm like, it's not really for me. It's got this nice sort of, I don't know, just like a classic Ugg sock liner, this sort of furry sock liner, and then the outside of the shoe is this nice suede. Let me throw these guys on feet. I actually don't hate the way that these look. These are sort of a mule moccasin style shoe, and I'm really, really interested to see how they fit. So this ankle area here, not stretchy at all. Probably a good thing so your foot doesn't slide out, I guess. I mean, this doesn't even have a back, and it was fine. On foot, they're fine. I feel like the most comfortable part really is the sock liner. The actual foam underneath your foot is not anything special. They're not bad. They're not bad. They're probably a very comfortable everyday shoe and a great like indoor slipper and maybe go to the store slipper and even just wear around shoe. Overall, compared to all these other shoes, I think they're a C. But all right, we tried all the new shoes. Now let's find out what the most comfortable pair of shoes of the entire list is. But hey, with that being said, these aren't in the running for being the most comfortable shoe of the entire list, so everyone can calm down. They're an A tier. I think they're a very, very comfortable shoe. But the shoes that I think are the most comfortable shoes on the list, or the shoes that I think have the potential to be the most comfortable shoes on the list, are as follows. First up, the New Balance Fresh Foam X More V6. This shoe is ridiculously soft underfoot, and the upper is pretty well padded and relatively breathable. The next S tier is the Brooks Glycerin Max. This shoe looks great. It's very, very soft underfoot. The third and final S tier is the Nike Zoom Vomero Plus. That being said, I think this is by far the best looking. I think visually it goes the Vomeros, then the Brooks, and then the New Balances being These ones I actually like the look of, but they're still pretty wild looking. This one just looks great. This is a good looking shoe in general. So I'm gonna wear these for the next day or two and really put them through their paces and find out which one's the best. So that was really tough. I spent the last literally day and a half wearing these shoes in a bunch of different situations. I did some light jogging in them, I walked in them, I bounced in them. I even went to the store with one shoe on one foot and one shoe on the other foot and then switched them out, went on to the next store. It was ridiculous and people did stare, but I do feel like I have some understanding now of which one I think is the best. But here's the problem. There's not really a clear winner. While yes, I do think there is one that wins, it wins by like this much. And realistically, I think the max cushion offerings from Brooks, New Balance, and Nike are all excellent. It really depends on what brand you like and what you're looking for when it comes to max cushion running sneakers. So let's start things off with the number 3 spot. Let me just say though, this was really tough. They're all very similar shoes. They all feel great and you can't really go wrong with picking one or the other. It's like picking your favorite child. It's almost impossible. I only have one and she's my favorite, but if I had two, I could imagine it'd be tough. So with that being said, terrible metaphor, like picking shoes, it doesn't matter. Coming in at number 3, we've got the Brooks Glycerin Max. So this shoe is excellent. Like I can't believe that this shoe is number 3 on this list, but it is. The Brooks Glycerin Max is insanely soft underfoot. The upper is really well padded and pretty breathable. I also think it's a good looking pair of shoes, but this shoe came in at number 3. And I didn't even factor price point into this, but this is the most expensive pair out of the 3. It comes in at $200, which is a lot. But the reason the shoe is number 3 is because the cushion underfoot is the stiffest. It's incredibly soft. It's very, very squishy and pretty bouncy. But when worn side by side with the other 2 shoes, there is, I wouldn't say it's noticeable, but there is definitely a difference in squishiness. And this is ever so slightly more stiff. Now, I think for some people that might be a good thing because you want that max cushion, but not that full like marshmallow feel, even though, like I said, it's very similar. This may give you a bit more responsiveness, but again, it's like trying to pick your favorite shade of red. They're all red, they're all good, but this one's, I guess, the least good. But now we find out which shoe is the most comfortable sneaker by any brand. And in my opinion, that shoe is the Nike Vomero Plus. I didn't expect that at all. I really thought it was gonna be the New Balances. When I wore the New Balances without wearing the Nike Vomero Pluses, I'm like, there's no way that the Vomero Plus is gonna be more comfortable than this shoe, but I genuinely think that it is. Now in this case, it didn't all come down to underfoot cushion. It also didn't include pricing either. This shoe is 180 bucks, this one's 160 bucks. If it was based on pricing, it'd be 1, 2, 3 because they all feel kind of the same. And if budget is the thing that's most important to you, then yeah, 160, the New Balance is the way to go. And visuals didn't factor into it, because if that was the case, I would have picked the Vomero Plus at number 1, and then the Brooks at number 2, and then the New Balances. But where the difference was made was actually in the upper. Now to be fair, the Fresh Foam X and the Zoom X in both of these sneakers is incredibly soft. And honestly, it's difficult to determine which one is softer. You could obviously do a durometer test. I don't have a durometer meter here to check. The Nike definitely has a bit more bounce to it, a bit more spring to it. But again, it's a very marshmallowy feel. In terms of squishiness, these are both noticeably squishier than this. Both tongues are soft, but the tongue in the Vomero Plus is a bit softer, and the Vomero Plus is a little bit more breathable. And that's because the material used on the upper is a little bit thinner, it's a little bit lighter, and it really came down to, honestly, breathability. It really did. The Nike was just a bit more breathable. So overall, I've got to give the number 1 spot to the Nike Vomero Plus, which is wild because I don't think a Nike sneaker has been on top of like the most comfortable sneakers of the year list for me in like 2 or 3 years, because they hadn't come out with a new version of the Invincible Run in like 2 or 3 years. But hey, with that being said, let me know which pair was your favorite from the entire unboxing in the comment section down below. Of course, if you want to grab the upcoming Apothecary 3D printed mule that is very soft underfoot, make sure to check it out on August 29th on Apothecary's website at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Again, there are 5 different colorways and they're all very limited. 150 bucks, and you're getting one of the most futuristic shoes out there. Also, if you live in New York City, stop by Takeout NY on August 30th. We're doing a launch event there. You can try it on. Even if you don't want to buy it, you can try it on, say what's up, and it's gonna be a blast. So make sure to check out the Apothecary mule. Thank you all so much for the support that made this shoe possible. I really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.